There we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to technical session number 2, project development or contract development and management. My name is Pat Waskowiak. I'm with WSP Parson's Brinckerhoff, and it's my great pleasure to be the moderator of this session today. Many of you in this room I know have worked with TxDOT on local government contracts as either local government representatives or contractors for them. And it can often be a daunting and somewhat confusing process. So I think this is a great opportunity to hear from 3 experts in the field and to have an opportunity to ask questions of them. They each bring a different perspective to the contract management process, and we're fortunate to be able to have them all 3 here to talk about that today. We have with us Mr. David Millikan. David is Director of Local Government Projects Section for TxDOT. He's responsible for ensuring compliance of state and federally funded projects and programs developed and delivered by local governments. David has more than 35 years of engineering, business, and project management experience, so he's very familiar with this process. He's a professional engineer, licensed in the state of Texas, California, New Mexico, Utah, and Oklahoma. We also have with us Mr. Mark Patterson. Mark is Director of Consultant Contracts for TxDOT here in the Houston District. Mark works with private sector partners to implement the Houston District portfolio of projects. He works with local governments to fund, design, and implement state and federally funded local government projects. Mark has almost 30 years of transportation engineering experience, I think largely here in the Houston area. Mark holds a bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering and is a registered professional engineer in Texas. Next we have Mr. Scott Stevenson, who is an attorney in the Contract Services Division of TxDOT. Scott's responsible for overseeing and negotiating state and federally funded contracts and also conducts contract training seminars for agency employees. Scott's worked in a variety of legal positions, including director of the state's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit for the Attorney General's Office, an enforcement attorney for TxDOT's Motor Vehicle Division, and other legal positions at TxDOT. He received his Juris Doctorate from St. Mary's University School of Law in 1990 as a member of the State Bar of Texas and a certified Texas contract manager. Please take the opportunity today to ask them questions because, as I said, this is a great group of experts on a process that raises a lot of questions, even for people who have been through it a number of times. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the panelists. They're going to give you an overview of what they do in terms of contract management and development, and we'll begin with David.
Good morning. Thank you, Pat. Could I have the remote? I heard there may be some comments or questions later about our new risk assessment process for local government entities, so I'm going to brief that with a few slides on that. It's a TxDOT evaluation of our perception of risk for allowing a local government to manage a phase of the project delivery process and be received with state or federal, be reimbursed with state or federal funds, or if they're actually doing physical improvements on our right-of-way that we're going to be accepting or will be on our right-of-way as on an ongoing basis. The reason we're doing it is there's a federal rule that says we have to do this, and the rule actually is up here on the screen. I'll let you read it. I won't read it for you. But it is a requirement that we evaluate the risk and set our oversight level based upon our evaluation of that risk. So what we have done, again, to comply with that, is that we've developed a guidance document and 2 different forms that are internal to TxDOT forms, but we have placed them on our website so all local governments or their consultants can review these documents and know what our process is. And feel free to ask us any questions about it. Again, we're not trying to evaluate a local government as how good a local government it is. We're just evaluating on the specific types of projects they wish to do with state or federal funds through TxDOT or do improvements on our roadway what we believe the risk is to us so that we can set an appropriate oversight level on their projects. So if you get A, B, C, or D rating on these, which up here it explains that we think it's either a low level of risk, a moderate level of risk, a high level of risk, or an unacceptable level of risk. That is for us to use internally to determine how much time we want to spend overseeing your work, either in the field or in the design review process and other things. Our evaluation is qualitative. It's done by the people within the department that work with you or worked with you in the past. It is not getting a financial statement from you, even though we do use the single audit for local governments as one element that we consider in our evaluation process. A lot of it's based on past experience or knowledge we have of the local entity. So there are 8 different categories that are graded on by representatives of TxDOT in the local district. And then an overall score is developed from those A, B, C's, or D's for each of those 8 categories. And it is not a numerical calculation. It is the district's evaluation, or the divisions in some cases. Overall assessment is that we think that's a low risk, a moderate risk, a high level risk to the department to let that entity have federal or state funded projects for us. The form also allows or requires the participants to write a brief comment in there to explain why we believe that level of risk is appropriate for that category. What we believe the benefits of this are, one is that it assures we comply with the federal rules. This was brought to our attention in a state audit just last year. It was actually the 2015 audit, fiscal year 2015, that was performed in 2016. And so this process was implemented last August 1st. And we're not even through a full year of implementation yet. And we haven't had the state auditors come back and tell us whether they believe it meets their expectations or not. So we're awaiting that to happen this year. And hopefully they won't put even more onerous requirements on us and be believing this is acceptable. So it does address the audit requirements. We also believe it helps ensure the local government and TxDOT have communications as we're negotiating an AFA as to actually how the local government plans to actually manage the work and deliver the project, and TxDOT to the local government about how we plan to oversee it and what our role will be, and to make sure we have good communications before the AFA is ever signed. We also hope that it helps us understand your strengths and capabilities as to how you're actually going to perform the work and what capabilities you really bring to the table. So we don't put an overly restrictive oversight level if you're a very qualified entity that's done these kind of projects on a regular basis, and we perceive you as a lower risk. We have the ability, and it's our requirement, to periodically review or reassess that, and the district engineer has the option to request the staff to reassess the risk at any time they want to. So if we did an assessment and gave a local entity a C rating and have been working with them for a year, year and a half on some complex projects, and they've been doing an outstanding job, the district engineer could say, we'd like to go back and reassess the risk, because we think now it may be allow us to reduce our oversight level because of the fact that they're performing so well in this project, and maybe it could become a B or an A score for the risk assessment. As I mentioned before, it does address the audit findings, we believe, and we worked with our internal audit and compliance group to verify that they felt it met the intent of the audit finding as well. And we believe that this process, the way it's been set up to try and minimize the impact on the project delivery process, even though it does have, it's one more step to go through, it doesn't need to be time-consuming and difficult, especially now that we've had several districts and district employees go through it. It's not as complicated as it seems at the beginning. And we believe this will help us increase success on the projects, because we've had that early coordination between the local government and the department before the AFA is signed, before the work starts, rather than learn as we go once the project is already underway and the contract was signed months ago. A couple resources to let you be aware of. We do have a brochure called our Local Government Responsibilities that tells the local government what your responsibilities are and what you have to make sure your contractor does if you're managing a local government project. I've sent a copy of this to David Wordlow electronically so that he can forward it along with all the presentations to you after this. Also, you can check with Mark here in the district or email us if you want to at the Local Government Projects Office in Austin, and we can forward you copies of that flyer as well. We also do have training on a regular basis. Next week, we have our training class here in Houston. It actually is almost at capacity. I think there may be one or two more openings available. The next class is here in Houston, and will be in August on the 15th and 16th. It already has 12 people signed up for it, and the capacity in this location is 28 people. Next week, or the week after the Houston class, on May 5th, 16th, and 17th, there's a class in Bryan. So if you want to get in and you're willing to travel a few miles up the road, if you have any other reason you'd want to go up to the Bryan College Station area, you can take the training up there because there's availability in that class. The following week we'll be in Fort Worth, and then El Paso, and then Waco, and then Dallas. We currently conduct the class about 30 times a year throughout the state and train about 550 or 600 people each year. In this class, it's a 12-hour training class. Also, this is the links that are also on the back of this flyer, and this presentation will be sent out as well, which gives you the link to our local government projects toolkit, which David actually thankfully went through and demonstrated to everybody early on. If you just go to TxDOT.gov, click on the government box or the government link, the first thing on the left side is local government projects toolkit, which will help you get resources that Vita talked about as well. And then we also have our local government projects webpage is available, which has some other tools and forms on it. It's available at this other address up there. One other thing we do want to highlight, and this is my last slide, is that FHWA has done an outstanding job on trying to provide resources on the federal program for local public agency projects, is what they call them. We call them local government projects because Texas has a local government code that applies. The federal government calls them local public agency projects. Their website has about 100 videos that give you a 6 or 8 minute presentation about their DBE program, about planning, about doing all sorts of things, about what a project is from start to finish, what the federal regulations are, and it steers you to your local state agency to get details on how those are actually implemented in your state. But it gives the overview of the federal regulations and little bite-sized pieces that we'd encourage you to go review at your leisure and apply as appropriate on your projects.
Mark?
Okay, just to segue into what David was saying. Segue into what David was saying. It's a requirement that you take this class he was mentioning. It's in your funding agreement. And if you're going to be a recipient of federal funds, you've got to take that class. Right, David?
At least one person.
Yeah, at least one person from your agency. Okay. Again, my name is Mark Patterson. I'm the Director of Consultant Contract Section with TxDOT. My job with TxDOT is to hire consultants to do jobs with, for us. And also one of my responsibilities is to implement local government